Hello folks, 3coursethoughts here with another video, and today's topic is what does it mean to be a competent worker? This is an important topic, especially for you individuals that are new to the world of work or just starting your careers, starting to try and build up your dreams or the path towards your dream, to actualizing your dreams. So before we begin with our subject, our topic for today, let's just define what it is, what a competent worker is. Now, you'd probably think that a competent worker is usually someone who's good at their job or craft, and traditionally that's what it means on paper. But there's a hidden meaning. Now, this is something that's not necessarily taken for granted for those that are experienced in this, like if they've been doing their job for a number of years, or this is something that's learned fairly quickly, but it's not necessarily presented to people. Like, let's say your parents are telling you they're giving you advice on the job, they may overlook this aspect until it comes up. So that being said, this is in the regular working environment. The hidden meaning is that your competence as a worker overall is based on your reputation and or your influence within the job. So who you know, your connections, and so forth. That's essentially what it means to be a competent worker when they're generally saying that or implying it. And this is usually also indirectly measured through your evaluations, hearsay, so what people are saying about you, and also your overall likability. So these are aspects in what is meant, generally meant, when it's when the word competent worker is being used. Now, there are four different measures with being a competent worker. The lowest on the tier for working your way up as demonstrating your competence within the working environment is producing results. That's very important. Society's all about that, and as a result, jobs are all about that. So most jobs are based on results, percentages, facts, and figures used to justify a job's existence or demonstrate their superiority over their competitors. So if you have two burger companies, McDonald's and Wendy's, if McDonald's has better results, so they're able to sell to more customers, whether it be more toys, burgers, what have you, they can use that as leverage over Wendy's in their advertisements, if they're getting grants or anything of that sort. Those higher numbers makes them look good, and it justifies their existence, so they can make more money and so forth. I'm not going to talk about my opinion on that process, but I'm just presenting to you the process and how it works, and as a worker, where you fit in, fortunately or unfortunately, within that process. It's results based. Every job, especially if you're at the bottom of the barrel, regular employee, is based on results. Hands down, even if you're kind of upper tier. Now, with that being said, it's not only producing results, but consistent results. That's going to make you look favorable. It doesn't necessarily matter that they don't care how hard it was for you to get the results. So they don't care about the level of difficulty. If it took you all day to get the results, if you got in 10 minutes because you're really good, or you know someone, or you cheated your way, however you got the results, or you took someone else's credit, that's not really cared about overall. It's more so, are you getting consistent results? Are you useful to us? That's what's cared about. It does sound dehumanizing. I'm not going to sit down here and justify this. I'm just letting you know the process in that whole endeavor. That being said, continue on this end, the end product or products is evaluated. That's what's evaluated. So it's not how you start, it's how you finish. So let's say you have a very strong start. You have a job, a particular task. You have to finish a set of charts, or you have to get generate a certain amount of activity, or a certain specific amount of results by the end of your shift, week, whatever timeline they give you. Let's say you start strong. That doesn't matter. All that's really cared about is how you finish. Did you get it by the deadline? Now, going up on the ladder. So this is number 3 for demonstrating your competency or working your way up, or how they deem you as competent specifically, is how easy are you making the life for your higher ups, whether it be your immediate supervisor, the supervisor above them, the head honcho. Basically, if they're higher up than you, you're making their life easier. Being a higher up or supervisor, I'm not going to sit down and say, oh, it's super easy. It's not. They have a lot of responsibility, and things that they are, things that they have to, people that they have to answer to, that, lower people don't have to necessarily answer to. And in theory, there's less safety in being a higher up in theory. In actuality, because they are higher up, there are times, I would say commonly, on a common basis, that this power and authority may be used to reverse this theoretical scale. So as such, usually the higher ups, as individuals, they want to do the least amount of work possible, but they still want results generated. So they may as a result, they may, on top of your own workload, they may indirectly delegate aspects of their responsibility onto you. Hey, could you remember to remind me of a particular task that they're required to do, but they put that on you? So you could end up being their errand person, or certain things that they're responsible for watching you do, they put that responsibility solely on your shoulders. These things happen in the work environment. Now, knowing this though, if you are in said work environment, the knowledge could be used to your advantage. You can complete the tasks that you're given, hopefully are reasonable, but complete the task given to the best of your ability. You can limit the complaints, whether justified or unjustified, to the higher ups. So if you have a complaint, try to filter it through, like, maybe a senior staff member that's the same rank as you. Have them give you their perspective, hopefully a more experienced, and they have your best interest at heart, and they give you their perspective as to how to endure justified complaint. Maybe they may be more familiar with the higher ups, so they can filter it. It'll be easier process through them and so forth. And also, you don't look as bad because, like, you might be new, and they're like, oh, this new person's complaining and so forth. He just got here, even though it's a justified complaint. These things happen in the work environment. The next aspect is you can find creative manners to solve problems. Usually in the world of work, you've been quote unquote trained, which is usually something very minor, and the training is usually not comparable to the real thing. The real thing is a lot of factors involved, and so there are many times when you jump into the world of work, hitting the ground running, where you have to figure things out. And find a creative manners to solve problems. Like I said, you're generating results. They don't care how you generate the results as long as you generate them. And this goes into my next point, which is you're going to reduce the amount of questions you have for higher ups. Like I said before, there are people, and generally speaking, they want to do the least amount of work possible and have results generated. So do it to the best of your ability. Try to reduce the amount of questions you have. So carefully measure the questions that you have. So you're not going to them every minute for any little question you have. Make sure if you go through senior staff that's the same rank as you, like I said before, if they don't see it, they can answer your question, or it's a question that you know that, listen, this is a supervisor can only answer this question because it's their realm and they deal with that specifically. try to limit those questions if you can. So this moving up the ladder again, the second. So this is the second to highest level on demonstrating competence at work, or how it's deemed. You're deemed a competent worker, good worker. Is adherence to job politics. So when you're problem solving, consider an aspect, the political aspects of your job. So when you have a particular problem, it's not just directly solving the problem. You have to also consider the political aspects as a hidden factor as well, unfortunately, within that within solving the problem. So you have to solve the problem. So this is a restriction. It's an unfortunate restriction, generally speaking. But you have to put this into consideration or respect, because it deals with you being deemed competent. So basically, it's not what you do, it's how you do it that counts. And then you also have to generate the positive results. Take that how you will. Now, another thing is, I recommend that you utilize these politics as a guideline or tool to properly navigate the work environment. So, with that being said, when you enter a work environment, try to learn the politics as quickly as you can, so you can learn how to essentially play the game, because it is a game. It's not a fun game. It's a brutal game, but it's a game nonetheless. Like all games, the games have rules. The rules are often unspoken, so then you're usually not going to get taught these rules in training, or definitely not in college or school. Maybe if you have parents that worked a particular job, they can kind of give you an idea of the game. However, with that being said, with utilizing these politics as a guideline, use common sense. We're not robots. So the previous examples, like I said before, like you try and make the life easier for supervisors, do not try to do that at the expense of your coworkers. Your coworkers' relationships are important as well. You're all working together, and you don't want karma to come back to bite you, where. So you're not a robot where it's like, oh, I just produce results and that's all. I mean, that's how the system would probably treat you. But you're, at the end of the day, you're still a person. It still affects you. The point of me making this video is to make you hopefully more aware of that, because that's experience in the day-to-day society, I would say. But it's not necessary. I don't think it's necessarily taught. Definitely not taught in schools, because they have a curriculum that they have to follow, and they may not have time to teach that. And there's also illusion being presented. But there's a lot going on. Moving along. So adherence to job politics is more than just a company policy. So a hidden aspect of this is the job culture. Like I said before, the way things are handled, and the main source of the job politics is that of job culture. So different jobs have different job cultures. So when you enter that job, that field of work, they may overlap where, like, oh, hey, the boss doesn't want to do as much work. That's usually common. And they want to, they have their little crew and, cronies and so forth. That's true. But each job has their own way of doing things, a particular culture, a spectrum that they are on. And when you do a particular job, it would behoove you to learn that as quickly as possible, and at least make play the game. And this is the top thing for being deemed as a competent worker. So if you want to get better evaluations, or move up, or whatever your goals are, just to survive, being deemed a competent worker has its degree of importance, at least if you're in the world of working and you're not necessarily like an entrepreneur or business owner or something of that sort. You're working for a paycheck, like most of us probably are. And this is the top reason, which is you being well liked by your supervisors. And when I say this, I'm not talking about sucking up because, you know, we're people. We know suck up. Some of them might like the suck ups because it makes them feel good about themselves or whatever. I'd probably say most of them don't really like suck ups because they find them annoying and they don't find them genuine. They don't necessarily want to like deal with it. But you know, you might find them that like the suck ups because it props up their ego. They're insecure and it props up their ego. You know, take that how you will. That being said, being well liked by supervisors usually deems of at least one of three factors. Share luck. So you did something that you ordinarily do, but the supervisor saw it at the right time, or you're in the right place, right time, and they just have a good impression of you. So you didn't do anything. You did the same thing that everybody else does. Nothing special, nothing extraordinary. But because you're in the right place, right time, or you had a good word put out for you, you had a good reputation, you know, you just got lucky. These things happen. You know, ride with that. Do the best you can. Also, it could be connections. So you could be connected to someone higher up, or you know, your father was a good deal. You're riding off the reputation of your parents. You know, let's say you did the same job as your parents. Oh, this is your so and so son. Oh, hey, we're gonna take care of you. You know, so forth. These things happen all the time. Another thing is, and this is the one for most of us ordinary people who don't have luck or connections, it's your social skills. You know, reading people, reading the room, seeing what's going on, you know, talking to people, you know, person to person, you know, things of that sort. Continue on that point is recognize that supervisors are people too. There are different types of people. You can have your mix. So you can have people that are good people outside of work, but they're not good supervisors. You can have terrible people that are great supervisors. You can have people that are great people and great supervisors, and you have your mix. So just the type of supervisor that they are has nothing to do with the type of person that they are. But, you know, take that how you will. You know what I'm saying? You recognize that people too in the sense of appealing to the human side to reach a common goal. So let's say you want a good eval, you want to move up. What does the supervisor want? Try to make their life easier, so see if you can work together. They're giving you a hard time, try your best to get to the root of the issue. Sometimes you can't do that because, you know, you might have that scenario where they're not a good person and they just don't like you and there's nothing you can do about that directly. You know, nothing you can do to change that. You could be unlucky and have a bad impression and it sticks with you. And in a scenario like that, you know, I would say try your best to endure, look about other options, transferring, do your best, you know. But what I'm presenting to you are 4 ways that competence within work are determined. And this is the top way, being liked by a supervisor. So once again, guys, that concludes the video for 3 course thoughts. If you guys are new here, you know the mod. I'm going to present to you the motto: reflection, framework, action. And this is repeatable. If the action is not, if this doesn't work the first time, just rinse, lather, and repeat. All right. So guys, if you like the video, share, like, and subscribe. All right. You guys take care. Have a good one.